guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is entitled Cousin and her entitled daughter thinks they are entitled to stuff in our home. My cousin, let's call her B, 38F, is the second oldest among her 4 other siblings. I, 24F, first noticed her entitled tendencies when she asked my mom if she could come to our house on that one Sunday night so she can use our Wi-Fi to research her lessons. She's a teacher and she just returned to our town after being away for so long. They do have Wi-Fi in their home but it's slow. Mom agreed thinking it was just a one-time thing since B knows we only have a limited internet data plan. She came to our house, used our Wi-Fi for 3 hours, thanked us, and left. Then the next day, she came back. And the next day, and also the next day after that, and so on. She also started using it for an hour or 2 longer. I got really concerned so I told my mom and she just shut me off because I was apparently being rude. In the end, our internet connection that usually lasted us a month, now didn't even last 2 weeks. That's when my mom started getting concerned. So when B came again, Mom told her we lost our connection and we don't know when it will be coming back. She stopped coming for that reason after that, so I thought maybe she wasn't as entitled as I thought. Just clueless. But then every time she visited, I noticed she would knock or call us once and then would barge in immediately. Until the time came she didn't even bother knocking anymore. Just straight up opened our gate and went inside our house. And it just so happens that I'm at the kitchen doing something. She'd come and ask me what I'm doing and then she'd start looking at the leftovers on our table. If she liked something, she'd eat it and I'm too flustered to even say anything. One time, I made dumplings for dinner. I eat early so by 5 p.m., the dumplings were already ready. She was at our house just to chat with my mom and of course she went to the kitchen to ask what I'm doing. I made just enough for us, 3 each so 12 in total. I wasn't in the bathroom that time so when I went to eat, turns out she ate 3. I got really mad so I told her to stop treating our house as a free restaurant. But I was shut down by my mom for being rude, which I'm still pretty angry about. She'd also go to our garden and ask for fruits or veggies. She'd ask us for lime and she'd straight up take probably more than a kilo's worth. Asked for malunggay, just enough for a soup, and she'd take a whole as branch. Another incident was when she suddenly went inside our gate and harvested all the ripe papayas on one of our trees without even asking. So I sneaked in on her and asked her what she was doing. "Oh, I saw your papaya from the street and I thought I'd harvest it for you." I replied with, "Thanks. How many is that? We're planning on feeding it all to our chickens. Would you like to do the honors?" It was pretty hilarious looking at her face getting mad that one by one, she lost all the papayas she worked so hard to steal. She ratted to my mom though, so I was reprimanded for not even letting her keep one, but I just shrugged it off. And then there's her daughter, F, 11. Who's just as entitled as she is. She gets really jealous of stuff we have, so we caught her multiple times trying to steal whatever caught her fancy. At first she asked but would compliment it first, like when she eyed on my markers. "These markers are so pretty. It's a 36 color marker set which cost me a lot but I needed it for school." She'd follow it with, "I want it." I say no cause I need it and she straight up replied with, "Just buy another one." I kept replying with no, so she started whining and then went to my mom to tell on me. Mom doesn't really like the kid that much, so she just said, "Ask your mom to buy you one," as nice as she could. And that's when she shut up. But she didn't really stop trying when they visit our house a few days after. My sister, N, 18, dislikes her because she keeps trying to steal her things. N loves pretty things, so her room looks pretty. Her bags are pretty. Her notebooks are cute. All her stationery looks really cute. She has cute keychains, cute clothes, and a nice collection of art supplies. That seems to really rile F up, so every time she visits, she tried to steal 1 or 2 of N's stuff but she gets caught every time. But the audacity to whine and get mad at us for not letting her make me mad. She also looks at N's clothes and tell her, "I'm calling dibs on this when it's my size," and my sister always replied with, "No." No explanations, just no. She'd tell on us to her mom every time, who'd side on her with, "N, I'm pretty sure you'll stop wearing them someday, so give them to F when that happens." And my sister always answered with, "It's my clothes." I decide what I want to do with them, thanks. Because of N's frankness, most of our relatives think she's a brat for not giving her things to entitled people. I don't really get the audacity. All of B's siblings and their kids turned out respectful and good-mannered. I don't really know what happened to her. And now her kid is as entitled as she is, but she's still young. She can still learn and improve, but I don't know if that'll happen when everyone's coddling her. Me and my sister turns into the bad guys when we reprimand her and tell her what's wrong with her attitude. Even mom thinks we're rude even though she doesn't really like F. Thankfully, B got assigned to a different city, so we won't be seeing her and her kid much, but it's nearing Christmas vacation, so I'm pretty wary they'll come here again and demand gifts like they did last year. I'm just hoping it doesn't happen. Anyway, thank you for reading my long post. English isn't my first language, so I apologize for the errors I overlooked. The next story is titled, Would I Be the A-hole for building a fence along my driveway so my neighbors stop using it? I, 35M, have a driveway that goes along one side of my house to the backyard. A couple years ago my neighbors built a basement access and started renting the space out to tenants. The access is alongside my driveway, and past it there is enough room for 2 vehicles to park, one in front of the other so that they block in one vehicle. Since they intentionally block in one vehicle, the tenants decided my driveway is fair use anytime they need to pull in, out of their parking spot. While this initially irritated me since they did not ask permission, I eventually spoke to the vehicle owner and got them to agree to cleaning up any mud they track across it and not compact snow before I've had a chance to shovel it. I've never been happy that they use it, but so long as they are not creating a mess, I have to clean up. It's negligible, plus it seems impossible to monitor my driveway every day and try to file a report against the constant use. Recently, 3 months now, my brother, 36M, who was living with me, passed away. It was an extremely difficult week emotionally. Thankfully all my family made the trip to my state to help me sort through everything and made sure I was not alone during the subsequent weeks. Several days after his passing I came home from picking up family from the airport and the neighbor's Jeep was parked right in the middle of my driveway. I was completely livid. I knocked on the tenants and neighbor's door with no answer. I was literally looking up the number for parking enforcement when the neighbor's whole household came out to meet me. About 5 to 6 adults between the homeowner and tenants. They explained that they were moving their boat and figured they would only be occupying the space for a short time. I told them in no uncertain terms that they were not allowed to block my driveway for any reason, especially when I had so much family driving in from other states for the funeral. Before I'm asked, there is more than enough free parking on the street. They could have easily parked in front of either house or across the street. Last week the same tenants were in the process of moving out and again decided to park diagonally across my driveway so they could more easily move a mattress into their vehicle. This was really only an issue because my new roommates needed to grab medicine for their kid and were blocked in. I went out, told them they have to move, and if they need to use my driveway, they have to ask for permission. I am tired of this constant battle for something I think should be common sense, courtesy. I am at the point where I will gladly pay a surveyor to come out, mark the property line, then build a 1-foot-high spite fence along the driveway space. Would I be the a-hole for doing this? Knowing about where the line is, I would be taking back about a foot of space they use for parking regularly, along with intentionally creating an inconvenience for them. The homeowner is aware of the situation but does not care. The next story is titled, Try and Give Me a Parking Ticket. I'll take my pound of flesh. I visited a buddy who lived in the downtown of a major metro. He told me to park out behind a grocery store that was right near his building in a shared lot. I parked in an open spot and then went up to visit my buddy for a few hours. When I came out, now dark, I saw that someone had put up big wooden signs in front of my car with one of the business's names on them, along with instructions that you are not allowed to park there after 8 p.m. They also decided to give me a ticket. My first reaction was to take the signs down and take a picture of my car. I can fight the ticket if there was incorrect signage. After a few moments of yanking these down and pondering, my petty rage began to grow until it bloomed. I thought of all the time I'd have to waste dealing with this and how predatory this was. Be the change you want to see in the world and all that. So, I loaded up all 3 of the big wood signs into the back of my car and left. Duck them. The fallout: I never paid the ticket and never heard a peep about it. My friend got married a few months later and got great use of those signs after they repainted with wedding stuff. The next story is titled, Non-Stop Debt Calls for Previous Number Holder. Years ago, back when you had to change your number every time you changed your cell phone carrier, I started receiving a lot of calls for the previous holder of my phone number. The worst part is they called at crazy hours, starting around 6 and going most of the day. They refused to believe they got the wrong person. I guess they assumed I was trying to default on a debt. So finally I pretended to be the person they were looking for and I asked if there was a phone number and extension I could contact them with. I took that number and called a bunch of moving companies asking for quotes and using the phone number he had given and the name of the guy they thought I was. I knew a lot of these companies sold the numbers to spam call lists and things. A few days later I got another call from the debt collector that went something like this. Him. Mr. So-and-so, I want you to know I didn't appreciate your prank. I have had to change my extension within the company because I am getting so many calls. Me. You mean it's bothering you to get non-stop phone calls for somebody that isn't you? Him. You could have tried harder to tell me you weren't Mr. So-and-so. Me. You could have listened to me when I said I wasn't. Click. I never heard from them again. The next story is titled Luckily I Had a Witness. This just happened today. This top-tier guy comes to check in and I ask my usual, can I see an ID, please? You know, like you're supposed to. Well, this man claims he's never had to show ID before and he stays here 4 to 5 times a month and his ID was in his car. Well, I didn't recognize him so I tell him, well, I'm sorry but I'll need to see ID before I can check you in. So he goes out to his car and I check in the people behind him. The man comes back and shows me ID. Okay, no problem. He gets an upgrade for his shiny status and I have him put his card in the machine. He notices the price and I tell him that there is a $20 incidental fee that's included. He's in a bad mood and goes, I've never had to pay incidentals before. That's BS, but I just keep my smile on my face and tell him that we charge everyone for it and it will be dropped off when he checks out. So whatever, he pays. I hand him his keys, give him water and 3 snacks for being a top tier. We usually give 1 snack, and off he goes, but not before saying, I'm not staying here again because of this inconvenience. And blah blah will also not be returning here. After this happens, my AGM who was in the back office asks me why he was upset. I tell him the guest was unhappy with me asking for his ID and didn't like that he had to pay incidentals. So AGM tells me to just log it in and mention that I acknowledged his shiny tier. Well, couple hours later my AGM comes back and asks if the guest's name was Sonzo and I double check and confirm that yes, it was. Turns out he sent a formal complaint and mentioned that the front desk clerk needs to have her attitude checked. Excuse me. I was nothing but polite and pleasant the whole time. My AGM tells me not to worry about it because he heard the whole thing and knew I didn't have an attitude. But my God, the nerve of some people. Unfortunately, the guy ended up getting enough points for a comp stay for the inconvenience. But at least I'm not in trouble and my AGM knows the guy was full of crap. The next story is titled The Time I Got Written Up for a Coworker Skipping Work. This was in 2010-2011, somewhere in there. I was working for a hotel that is known for pointing in 4 directions. Frankly, it was kind of a crap hole, but that was due to the owners being craps themselves, and not the topic of this post. I was the full-time auditor at a cheap hotel where we were also playing host to airline crews. Yes, I know why everyone hates airline crews, and these were not any different, but still only play a peripheral part in this. The part-time auditor, LaShonda, not her real name, was also part-time overnight houseperson and shuttle driver. Basically, she was supposed to mop, run things to rooms and drive the shuttle to and from the airport. That was it. For this place, that amounted to maybe an hour and a half of actual work 98% of the time. Soon enough, her 14-year-old daughter gets pregnant, and as soon as I would walk into work, LaShonda would call the hotel going, "Oh, Op, I can't come in tonight, I'm just so tired. I can't stay awake. I'm too tired to come to work tonight." The first couple of times, I tried to be understanding, but she soon began to do this every single shift. It got to the point of me begging her on the phone to come in. "LaShonda, you live 5 minutes away, just please come in, and you can sleep until the flight crew has to leave at 6. We can't afford to keep calling cabs for them every day. I don't care if you come in and get paid to sleep for 7 hours, just please come in so I don't have to stress about these flight crews." To which she would adamantly refuse. "I can't Op, I'm too tired, I'm just so tired all the time, I can't come in." After a few weeks of this, I had a sit down with the GM, who had recently been put in, after the bank repossessed the hotel from the crapty owners. I told her the situation, and the GM tells me, "Op, LaShonda is a black single mom with 4 kids, and a grandkid on the way now. It's understandable to be tired. You, however, are a white guy with no kids, and you can't possibly understand the struggles that not only black people, but also women go through. I'm giving you a write-up and assigning you diversity in the workplace training, and I don't want to hear about this again." The GM was, of course, an extremely pasty white woman from Florida who had a severe case of white savior syndrome, among other things. This of course infuriated me, though I had to keep it bottled up for the time being. I polished up my resume, and applied to other jobs, finding a different full-time job to work, and going to part-time on that one, until some hillbilly woman the GM hired decided she didn't like me anymore, and fired me from there. Ultimately though, it was a blessing in disguise. The hillbilly woman, finding out that she had jumped the shark on firing me, and the kid she hired to replace never even came in for his first shift, she ended up walking out a week after firing me. The hotel lost its flag and was bought out and recently remodeled into one of those weird dual hotels. I've never been happier to be fired from a job before. The next story is titled Early Check-In. A couple months ago I was on one of my usual overnight shifts. Everyone was checked in and everything was going smoothly. Until 1 a.m. A family came up to the front desk and said they had a reservation. It's not unusual for someone to not be in the arrival list, so I go through the usual, "Oh, did you digitally check in already? Are you sure you booked a reservation for this location? There's like 5 other hotels with the same brand in the area, but they were sure they had a reservation for tonight." They show me their confirmation email, which is for tomorrow night. "Sir, this is for tomorrow, the 25th. Today is the 25th. It's the night of the 24th, this is for the night of the 25th. It's the same day, I should be able to check in. Sir, this is to check in after 4 p.m. on the 25th, not 1 a.m. If you want, I can make you a reservation for tonight instead. Why can't you just check me in? This is a reservation for tomorrow night, not tonight. It's too early to check in. Then cancel it and make one for tonight. This is a prepaid third-party reservation, I can't alter it." "Well, I'm not paying for 2 nights. Okay." And he just kinda stared at me angrily. And I just stared at him back, 'cause there's not a whole lot else I could do and he was being an asshat. He could either book another room for tonight or he could come back at 4 p.m. Turns out this guy had intentionally booked for the wrong day 'cause third party didn't list reservations for us on previous dates, and we started arguing again because this guy just couldn't fathom why I couldn't just magically check him in on a different date, which eventually led to me telling him he could call the third party. Thought I doubted they'd do anything. I just wanted him to leave me alone after he'd been yelling at me for 10 minimum. Cut to me having to work with this a-hole and the third party for half an hour over the phone to get this crap sorted out. I was still pretty new at the time, I probably should have just gotten them kicked out. They were being really abusive and I shouldn't have to put up with that. If anybody tries this again in the future, I'm definitely making them leave. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.